Hi, my name is Matthew Hester, and I'm the designer and creator of the board game Asteroid Jockeys. Asteroid Jockeys is a light to medium strategy game which takes place in the not too distant future. Players take on the role of competing prospectors as they explore and exploit the asteroid belt. The game is best played with 3 to 5 players, though I have created modified rules so that 2 players can also enjoy it. The age limit I set is 12 plus, and that's really just because some of the rules might be a bit too complicated for a younger audience. What I find most enjoyable about the game is how it brings together a lot of familiar game mechanics, but it uses them in a way to create a unique and cohesive experience. I've also tried to blend a feeling of believable sci-fi with a little bit of humor to create a real immersive universe that helps to enhance the gameplay. Let's take a few moments to review quickly the components that make up the game. Then I'll walk through a couple examples of gameplay so you can get an idea of the enjoyment that Asteroid Jockeys offers.
First, there are 61 hex tiles which make up the board. Each tile contains a pathway, some of which have asteroids. These are valuable locations to prospect and gain influence. With players determining the direction each tile is placed, no two game will ever play out the same. Next, there are 100 hardware cards available for purchase and use. These contain a variety of items, as well as actions and also equipment, which can be added to your ship in order to enhance your gameplay. Next, there are 10 specialist cards. Specialists are in-game crew members available for hire. Each specialist offers their own unique bonus, which helps to improve a player's strategy. There are also 40 prospecting tokens. Whenever an asteroid is prospected, a token is drawn to determine the bonuses and/or influence it grants the player. And then finally, the actual player pieces. There are 5 colors to choose from, each containing 1 ship, a 10-sided die, and several tokens.
Now, before any game can begin, each player must first select a player card. Now, there are 5 cards to choose from, each a different color and each named after a famous historical prospecting site. In the case of this card, Klondike was a real-life gold rush in the 19th century, I believe in the Yukon. Now, I did that just to help add a little bit of richness and flavor to the universe. Now, these cards act as both a representation of the spaceship that you're captaining, while also allowing you to track your level of influence and any additional resource bonuses that you might get. You'll also note there's a special area along each side of the card. Now, these are designated equipment slots, so you can actually upgrade these with cards in the game to further increase your powers and abilities. Now, the cards also have a reference guide, which outline the different resource costs for each available in-game action. And this is a good reference point for players to look at during the game, so they might say, oh, okay, if I want to do this particular action, it's going to cost me this much. So now that you have a good idea of the components and the player cards, why don't I actually show you a bit of examples of gameplay, just so you can get a better feel for things.
All right, to start things off, it's Blue's turn. So, Blue looks down at his player card and sees that he's currently sitting at 4 influence with 2 additional bonus energy. That means that for this turn, he actually has 7 available, his base of 5 plus 2 additional. So the first thing he's going to do is actually explore the adjacent hex, see what's there. So he turns over the tile and notices, hey, there's a path with an asteroid. He likes this, so he's going to place it down nearby so he can easily move onto it. Then he's going to spend 1 additional energy to actually move onto that space. So in total, he's spent 3. Out of 7, that means he has 4 left, so he's going to spend those 4 to prospect that asteroid. He's going to pull a token from the bag and reveal what's there. So in this case, he gets 2 influence, 1 additional energy, and 2 hardware cards. So he places it on the asteroid and returns the ship to his spot. Now he moves the appropriate amount, so this brings him to 6 total influence, and he's gaining 1 additional energy. So now on his next turn, he'll have 8. And then draws his hardware cards. First off, it's an energy gain card. That's going to be pretty handy down the road. So now he draws a second, and yellow takes their turn. They notice pink's getting awfully close, so he decides that he's going to use his nuclear arsenal to attack. So he rolls the die, gets 2. So he spends 2 energy to perform that attack. But he also, in his hand, has an attack boost, which doesn't cost any extra energy, but it gives him a +2 to his attack, so he's actually at 4. So just visually, he moves his die to 4, and now pink defends with their die. Rolls a 2. Bum, bum, bum. So pink loses the fight. So yellow steals 1 influence from pink. So they go up 1. Pink goes down 1. And that was the yellow's turn. So now it's pink's turn. Pink only has 5 energy to spend because they don't have any bonuses. So he decides he's going to buy a specialist. He needs a crew member. So first off, shuffles up the deck, shuffle, shuffle, and then draws the top two to see what's there. And now of the two available to hire, picks between which one will work best with his strategy. In this case, decides to pick the Master Engineer. So takes the Master Engineer and places it into his ship. And that's his turn. And then it would move back to blue.
Now that's just a sample of some of the events that can happen in this game. On average, a typical game can run an hour to an hour and a half, though that can fluctuate a lot depending on the involvement of the players. Asteroid Jockeys has been in development for about 3 years and has gone through a lot of permutations in that time. This final prototype, while still being the same fundamental game I started with, is a much more fleshed out and realized game than where it started. And that couldn't have happened without all the countless playtesting sessions and all the fantastic feedback I received. So thank you for taking the time to review this video, and I hope you enjoy the game.